He told me, what I want in your grant is, tell me that you will jump from the window, that you will succeed, that you will be on the floor, and that you will walk. So you have to be, in a way, realistic, but you have also to be enthusiastic, and you have to be original, and say that you will be a groundbreaker. So I did my PhD in 2000. Just after my PhD, which was defended in October 2000, I went in postdoc in the United States, in Michigan, for 1 year and a half. And I came back to be an assistant professor here, or senior lecturer, and I became a professor 8 years after my PhD. So in 2008, I was appointed professor.
Full professor.
Full professor. So it was quite quick, I would say. Was it hard? It wasn't easy. I wouldn't say it was very hard, but it wasn't easy. It means that it requested a lot of work before to be ready for the opportunity. I mean, to become a professor. Just because, you know, to become a full professor, I wouldn't say you have to be lucky, but it means that there's a position that is available. And it's not that often that you have positions of professor which are available. So we had the opportunity when I was in the lab that a colleague leave, and then there was the position was open, so the application was, and I just applied, and I worked for to make my work and titles ready. I had a meeting with a kind of council. A lot of questions. You have to put a project on, you have to draw perspectives, what you will be doing, what you want to do, what kind of research you will like to do, what kind of formation also you will be involved to, and what you would like to develop. So it was quick because of just an opportunity, I would say. Honestly, I don't know. And just because I've been professor for almost 10 years, so I still enjoy my job. So the thing is, for me, is maybe to be less in research, but to be more involved in the life of the university itself, maybe at administrative or collective responsibilities. So you have to apply. I mean, if you apply to, or if you want to join a group, it means that you have a kind of an attractive, you feel attracted by this group. So it means that you know maybe a little bit about the person, the leader, the principal investigator, or you know about the work. So if you want to join a team, I would say that you have to read about the work in that team. You have maybe to draw also your own lines, what you would love to do in that team. And then you take contacts. So with the principal investigator and with all the members of the group. For example, when I wanted to do a postdoc, I went to Heidelberg. So I met the PI, Angel Nebreda, and I met also all the members of his group. It was just to know that if I would felt like I could work with them, because I knew their work, but I didn't know the people exactly who were there. I mean, the PhD, the master, the other postdoc, and the full researcher also that were with him. So it's a matter of, I wouldn't say falling in love, but it's kind of meeting really meeting people, people to people. So it's really important to me in the job, that part, the human part of the job. I would say reading, because reading articles, reading emails, reading projects, reviewing things. So most of the time it's reading. It's a way not to answer about which part is education and which part is research, because it's difficult, but most of the time I would say I'm reading and I'm learning also. Maybe more than reading, I'm learning a lot. With difficulties. You have to keep tracks of the things you have to do. So I have always a to-do list, either on the paper or on my computer, and just to keep things that I need to do. And you need to be helped, honestly. You need to have people you can trust, that can help you to tell you that maybe you have forgotten something, or to help you to keep tracks. Especially if you have different activities that you want to fulfill. I mean, if you just want to do research, educational programs to teach, and you have administrative responsibilities, sometimes it's difficult to not to forget something. And to be organized is quite difficult, and it's one of the most important things, I believe, that to be organized. I would say freedom, maybe, because you have freedom to do your own research. If you are someone that is who is quite independent, it's great to have your own research group and to lead the group. The second part is working together. I mean, it's not being only on your own, but it's a matter of interaction with other researcher, PhD, and the thing that I maybe enjoy the most is the contact with the master student and PhD student. To have this kind of interaction, because you're helping the PhD students to grow up in a certain manner, but they also help you and force you to grow up as well. So you learn from them and you teach as well. It's a win-win interaction. Yeah, I work during weekends. I don't count my hours. I mean, this is something you cannot say that you will work 35 hours per week, because it's not true, because it depends on the time. You can spend weeks working more than 70 hours, but you don't count them because you do what you love. So it doesn't matter how many time you spend on the things. And the thing is, I believe that you spend the time you have to spend. I mean, it's kind of you must do that, so you don't think about it. If you are engaged in something, in writing a project, you have to put tons on it. You do it. That's it. I mean. I try to answer to my email as quick as I can, because I have a tendency to forget if I don't answer in 25 hours. So I have a way also to organize them, the urgent one, the less urgent, and to classify them between, if I can look, I have things dealing with animals, articles on reviewing, project or international relationships, and so on. So it's I try to be as much organized as I can, and I try to answer as quick as I can also, unless I need time to find information. And well, okay.
So when you receive an email, you put it in like a...
In a folder.
Directly?
I put it in the folder if I answered to the email.
Okay.
So it stays in my mailbox, and I have flag also, a red flag for the things that are important and that I have either to keep tracks, to answer, or to ask again if I don't have answers and things like that. Honestly, I don't care about the age or the sex of the student. It doesn't matter to me. Grades are important, yes, but it's not the most important. Publication is not mandatory for a PhD, for beginning a PhD, because most of the French students, for example, they don't have the opportunity to write an article before the PhD. They will write their first publication during the PhD. So I mean, it's not a big business for me. The most important is the meeting of the student, because you will have to work with that student for 3 years. So you have to feel that you can have a relationship of trust, for example, with that student, that he will be involved in his work or in her work. So the meeting of the student is very important. I ask for good grades, but not the highest one. I look for the competences. That's maybe more than grades what I look at. I would advise students to have a kind of portfolio of competences, meaning that a kind of list of what they are able to do. And I will look also at all the small things that will tell me that the student will be able, for example, to work in a team, or to be very involved in the work. And I look also for curiosity, scientific curiosity.
Do you have any tips for someone wanting to become a PhD student?
As I said, I mean, I think that one of the most important things to me is to make a kind of portfolio of all the competencies. Grades are important. Well, we know that, because it's a way to grasp an idea of the competencies. But there are things that you can do, but that are not written in the grades. There are skills that you might have developed during your young career, during maybe extra scholar activities that can be very interesting for a PhD. I'm thinking maybe theater, for example, because it helps students sometimes to be able to explain things and to feel confident for seminars. So it's sometimes it's very important, because part of the job when you want to have a grant is to be able to promote yourself and to promote your competencies. So I will look on that. I think it's really interesting that you can give that to the person you will apply to. The lack of patience. Sometimes the PhD students have a tendency to, they want to do a lot of things at the same time, and they lost the focus. So the mistake maybe very often is to lose the focus on what is important. and to be rigorous also. I think that the 3 points that I can see that there are points to work on during the PhD. So I would say stay focused, be patient, and be rigorous. Yeah. I like to have the feeling that I am attractive. I mean, very often what you see is our letters that are kind of standard letters. I mean, there's no soul in it. It's like they have sent 10 or 20 letters, almost the same, and they just cut and paste the name and the title. And so I like to see that the PhD student that is applying has read my work, that he knows about what we are doing, and that he is really, or she is really interested in. And I like to see something that is not, I like to see a little bit of originality. I mean, or I wouldn't say originality, but I like students that stay authentic, that they don't try to cheat, and they just are what they are, not trying to pretend. So I like honesty and not pretending. But when you, from the letter, it's not always easy to see, but there are things that in the manner the letter is written, you can feel things. You take the letters and you take the CV and you can see if things are matching or not, and you can see if the student is trying to oversell his or her competencies. So this is things that you can see, and it's a matter of feeling. It's really hard to, it's very difficult to explain. But you will have a kind of a first glimpse, and then the meeting by Skype or meeting in face-to-face will give you the information. You will see that in the attitude of the student. Most of the time. You can be mistaken. I agree.
Okay.
So patience, courage, curiosity, scientific curiosity, and a kind of modesty as well, and an appetence for learning. Yeah, maybe the most important things to me is the appetence for learning. So you have to do a master. At the second year of your master, you will obtain a grade. And in the master and the doctoral school we are working in, you have to be in the first half of the students regarding the grades, and you will be allowed to apply for a grant by the French ministry, and from this group of students, they will have to go in front of a huge jury that will select the best of them. So it's a kind of a show where you have to exhibit your competencies, you have to exhibit and to tell about your PhD program, and then you will be selected or not. So this is the first way. And the second way is to find a group that has money, that has grant for a PhD. And then you apply motivation letters, CV, and so on. So there are two kind of ways: by the selection by a committee, and or selection by a laboratory that has already grants. So I would say speak about your work, of thirsting, so that people can get to know you from what you have done, you have achieved. So it's basically when you go to seminars and meetings, international meetings or national meetings, so meet people and talk with them. And be curious as well. Do not hesitate to ask questions, even by email, to a researcher that you have read his or her papers and you have a question and you want maybe tips. So just ask, and maybe they will answer to you, maybe not, but just give it a try. So it's, yeah, communicate about yourself and be curious on the others, and keep tracks of the relation. A collaboration is always, to my understanding, based on a need. So be very honest on what you need in the collaboration, on what you can gain also from a collaboration, depending if it's you asking for collaboration or if you are asked to collaborate. So be sure that the aim and the objectives are very clear, and that you are in something that can be done. And in a collaboration, you have to be effective. Because sometimes you can collaborate, but it's more like exchanging ideas, and it's not really in the hard things. So yeah, be effective and be clear. By collaborating. That's the first thing. Collaboration. You will have feelings of loneliness during a PhD. I wouldn't say don't try to avoid them, just face them. I mean, it's research is most of the time about frustration. So you will fail. There's no way to avoid it. So just learn the way to get things, to get information from your failures. So they won't be failures anymore, but there will be attempt. And this is important. I mean, to fail is something that is very, very important, because you learn a lot, and you maybe learn more when you fail than when you succeed. So maybe because I link the loneliness with the feeling of failure. So try to be connected as well with the other PhD student. Don't work alone. Stay talkative. Talk with your supervisor if you can, if technicians, with engineers. So when you feel like something is not going well, just tell it. Speak with the former PhD student of that supervisor, because they will tell you how the supervisor behaves. They will tell you also the rate of publication, for example, if he is still following the PhD student after the PhD. So speak with former student of this supervisor, and speak also with the team as well. You will learn a lot also from what the team will tell you or not tell you about the supervisor. Maybe when they don't tell you something, might be something hidden somewhere. It's difficult to say. So that's why I was speaking previously about honesty. If you have trouble with your supervisor, try to speak with him or her. Be honest on what is not going on well. Be critical not only on the supervisor, but maybe also on yourself, because they are both sides. If something is not working, maybe. And if it's really a bad supervisor, just try to find someone that can act as a mediator in a mediation between you and the supervisor. And if it's not working, quit and find someone else. It's not easy, but sometimes if you discover it very quickly, do not hesitate if it's after 6 months or 1 year. I mean, it doesn't matter 1 year in a career. I mean, it feels like it's a big deal, but sometimes it's worth quitting and restarting something. If I can, it's a book in French, but Laetitia Gérard has written a book on the relationship between a PhD student and the supervisor, and it's a very, very interesting book. Le doctorat, un rite de passage. It's depending on what you want, because so what is, I would say, what is a good group to you, to your understanding? How do you define a good group? Is it a group that is publishing a lot? Or is it a group that is publishing less but with a higher quality? Is it a group on fundamental research or on applied research? So first step, define what is good to you. And I would say that second, a good PhD group, a good group of research for a PhD student is a group that will help the student to improve his or her skills. So yeah, that will help you to grow up. A group from where you can learn. Quality to quantity. Okay. So let's say if you think about your PhD and your future, you have to think that you need a PhD that you will be proud of in 10 years from now. So you have to choose maybe a topic or a methodology or something that you are really excited about. That's one side. Or the other side, you can choose a group that is maybe not working in the, that is not the best known, that is very famous, but that is working hard and that are developing the qualities you want to get. From my side, it would be patience, being human, working hard, being rigorous. So usually I would say it's in all the supervisor will tell you that they are like that, but maybe not. So yeah, I would go with that, with a quality of research and not being too attracted by shining research. I mean shining stuff or glowy stuff, you know, fancy stuff. Okay. Just stick with something that is really, really important to your understanding. So Sam, I would say, what is the top to you? To be at the top is, to me, it will be to be ready for opportunities. So so be aware of what you are doing. Be aware also of why you are doing what you are doing, and what are your objectives. What do you want to achieve? What are your goals? And then you can just go step by step, and you will grow up and you will like for my professor position, you will be ready for opportunities. Pasteur used to say that luck was for people who are ready for it. So if you are working hard, and I'm pretty sure that you will get opportunities.
Okay.
Not saying it will be easy, but you will get. By reading the bibliography and reading and being critical and taking a kind of distance. So it is one first thing. And the second thing is to try to look at the topic from a different angle. From another methodology, let's say for biology, try to see if what your colleague in physics or mathematics would think of the project. Try to find new angles. To use a big word, I would say try to have a holistic approach. Holistic means that you will try to use all the known approach on the topic. Mathematics, philosophy, ethics, for example, biology, engineering, and so on. Try to look at the problem in all its dimension. It's very difficult if you have. Yeah, but I mean, maybe one or two different angles are sufficient to have a new idea. So it's just, to look at the things differently, trying to. And the bibliography helped for that. So that would be depending on the field. So I will look from the physiology, neurophysiology, molecular level. What are the molecules involved? Or molecular level. What are the animal model that you can look at? What has been done in epidemiology, for example, on that. What is, as a social level also, what is, how are depressive people considered and treated? Well, these kind of things.
Okay. And in the grant proposal, you would write it all?
Not all, because the thing is when you gather your ideas, sometimes you will throw away maybe half of the ideas, because you cannot put everything on the grant application. So just keep it sharp, very sharp and focused. What are the objectives of the grant? What is the relevance of your proposal? So you have to look at all the items of the grant proposal and be sure that you will fill all the boxes with the appropriate material. So gathering ideas is one step. Writing the grant proposal is another step. That is very formal, and you have to be very clear. So and from the beginning, you will have to go from a broad range and go very to a narrow aim or objective, because you have to be realistic. So when I'm thinking about the man I was talking to, Angel Nebreda, and he told me that he asked me to write a grant to be a PhD in his group, and he told me, well, there are two ways of writing a grant. You can write, I would say, like a grandpa, who say, very wise, and I will do that, I will do molecular research. He told me, what I want in your grant is, tell me that you will jump from the window, that you will succeed, that you will be on the floor, and that you will walk. So you have to be, in a way, realistic but you have also to be enthusiastic, and you have to be original, and say that you will be a groundbreaker. Because what people want in a grant is something very original, very new, and very maybe transferable to others, something that is really relevant. So you have to be very enthusiastic about your work, and you have to find a way to share it.
Okay.
Be ambitious, I would say also, be ambitious.
Okay.
Sometimes when you're reading the literature, you say, well, it will raise questions. You will ask, how did they do that, or do they know that? And then you will have the question in your mind, did someone try this experiment or not? Did someone try to address this question or not? And you will look if they have done that, and if they don't, well, you have an angle to do your proposal. And to get an idea also is to make what I really do very often, but it's maybe very personal. I do models, or I am picturing things. So it's like putting the pieces of a puzzle together. And when you do that, sometimes you notice that there are pieces lacking. And oh, okay. So you put the model, you say, well, they say it is working that way, and that way, and that way. Oh, there's a gap here. Did someone understand that gap? Or did someone address this hypothesis or not? So try to fill the gap. Or try to think differently. It's very difficult. Just, yeah, be ambitious. So, well, okay. What do I really want to understand? And then maybe it's too ambitious and you will not succeed now, maybe in 10 or 20 years, but it will give you, what do I want to understand? Okay, this is it. Okay, what do we know? What is not known? And on what is not known, how can I handle it? And if I don't know how to handle it in that topic, or let's say in depression, let's see if in other disorders they have tried something, a different protocol, and I will see, okay, sounds good or not. If it sounds good, okay, how can I adapt it? How can I maybe modify it to fill my expectations? So it's just like, let it flow and see what is possible after that. Keep it clear. Be attractive with nice pictures. Keep it really sharp in the text, because when people look at posters, they don't read everything. They will look at the high titles, the highlights. So just get your highlights very catchy and very sharp on the hypothesis, what you have found, and then people might look and might ask you questions. So try to be, I would say, simple, not to be too complex. And always think that the people who are looking at poster will look at it from far away. So it has to be seen from 2 or 3 meters. It can be read from very far distance. You will think that I am obsessed with that, but keep it clear, well organized, well structured, and do it like you would be telling a story. And actually, you're telling a story, your story. You're telling of the story of an hypothesis you had and the way you addressed this hypothesis. And yeah, just be very step by step. Keep it clear with a good transition, so people will be able to follow what you have done step by step. I would say to collaborate, because It's hard to think now that one research group can, on its own, without collaboration, reach a high impact factor. It's a hard work, and you need collaboration because the reviewer and the scientific community is more and more demanding. So it's very rare that you are full-handed to answer the questions and to address the hypothesis. So you will need the help from others. So you will have to gather the methodology to other groups and to put all the pieces together to write a. You have to be on the groundbreaking things, so really on hot spots, and you have to work hard and fast. Okay. Because sometimes it's highly not sometimes, most of the time it's highly competitive. Okay. So you have to also to have a good level in English, to write well in English, because if a paper is not well written, most of the times they won't read it really carefully, because it's the reviewer are reluctant with the bad English written manuscripts. Mm-hmm. Okay. It's important also. So the quality of the work itself and the quality also of the writing, both are important. I have no specific way to remember them. I have good competences to memorize. So what I do is to organize in folders the papers that goes together. When I have ideas or hypotheses, I put them together in the same folder. So I can say, well, I know that I keep tracks also. And I keep most of the time tracks of the names of the researchers. Okay. It's more by the names than by by keywords as well. I would say that the structure is always the same. So it's like when you are performing a seminar, you have to keep things clear, and to be very focused on things. Try not to overinterpret your data. Be simple in your syntax, in your English also. I would advise to maybe to go with, I don't know if there are training for that, but maybe a training would be good for that, for a young student. If you have the opportunity during your PhD to follow that kind of things, a training to how to write a paper, it would be great. I would say be clear. Well, the last thing that I write usually in my paper is the introduction. I usually go by the material, methods, results, and a little part of the discussion to put the main ideas. Then I go back to the introduction, because what I have put in the article is defining what I will need in the introduction, and then I finish the discussion to be more sharp and trying to have a kind of equilibrium between all the parts. Okay. They are part of the job. Most of the time you will have negative results. So the thing is to learn how to deal with these results. You have also, you can now publish your negative results as well. And you have also meeting with specific sessions which are about negative results. or failures in your research, that is very fun. It's a funny way to de-dramatize the negative results. Sometimes you can show them, sometimes you can't. So it's not always easy. I mean, but it's you have to understand what went wrong in the experiment. I would say bad results. I'm thinking, I don't know if they are good or bad results. Results are, I mean, they are what they are. You have to interpret them according to your controls, to your negative controls, positive controls, and to interpret them. So I don't think they are bad results. They are only results. And maybe you will call good results when you have results fitting with your expectations. But negative results is when effectively when you have your hypothesis is not confirmed or is not validated, but it happens. So you have to reshape your hypothesis, or to change your hypothesis, or to go it in another way. Don't do it alone. There are two kind of reviewers, I would say friendly reviewers, that you will ask for. Ask one that is in your field, that will tell you if it's realistic, and use someone else as a naive reviewer that will tell you if it can be really easily understood or not. Because there are two levels in a grant. It can be read by anyone, so it can be accessible. But the specialists should be able to see that you are very focused and what you have done is relevant and feasible.
Okay. And the naive is someone who is not working in the same field, for example?
For example, not in the same field, or far in your field. Yeah.
Okay.
Might be someone of your family if the person is reading English or French or the language of the application.
Would you do it again?
I don't know. I would do again a PhD, for sure, because I love the research, and I love researching, and I love teaching as well. So I really enjoy my job. But I maybe will not do it again in biology, because I will be maybe digging in another field. I don't know. So I would do again a PhD, I believe, but maybe not in the same field. It's hard to tell, because I don't have a perfect career, but I don't have to complain. If maybe I would have seized other opportunities. For example, when I was a master student, I had two opportunities. One was to work in amphibian here at the university. And the other one was to work on venom toxins in spiders and scorpions. So maybe if I would have to do it again in the same field, I would maybe seize the opportunity to go to the Pasteur Institute. I would have done my military duties in another way, because I had the opportunities to go maybe in Middle East to work on scorpions. So I would have done that. I would have seized other opportunities. But I would have kept my faith in learning. Trying to be aware of what I was doing. Maybe more stay. It's a tough question. What would I do the same? I will work the same way. I will work hard the same way. And to find an equilibrium between all the duties that I had. To keep this kind of organization, to keep this kind of faith, and not to be over-impacted by bad results. I don't think I made big mistakes, so there are not things that I really regret. So I basically would have done the same way. So it's, I cannot see what I wouldn't have done.
Okay.
Heart, a clear mind, and an open mind. It's hard to be to keep the hard work, because you need to work hard. You need to be courageous sometimes. Clear mind, because you need to be organized and you need to follow the tracks and you need to follow the path. And open mind, because you need to see that there might be other path than the one you see at first.
Okay.
So keep your mind open, yeah. Don't give up. Never give up. Yeah.
Okay. One sentence to help future PhD students.
Same. Don't give up. And don't listen to people that say that it's impossible. Don't listen to them. There's always ways. Might be hard, might be easier than you believed, but there are always ways. And do not be over-impacted by the frustration in research. It's part of the job, so you can handle it. And yeah, believe in yourself also. No, it was great to think about it, to think about all this question and looking back to the career and these angles. What is driving me? Curiosity, and the love of learning. I feel like I'm still a student. It's hard to tell. Why do I love learning? Let me think about it. Why do I love learning? Maybe because I'm very curious. And maybe also because I enjoy asking questions, and I enjoy finding answers, even if the answers are new questions. So it's a kind of never-ending game. There's a very ludic or gamification game dimension in research for me. I mean, it should be like that. I think like it's very rewarding when you find something. I mean, when you validate an hypothesis or when you find something, it's so exciting, it's so rewarding that it's there's nothing comparable to it. It's very yeah, gratifying. And yeah, it's yeah, and I'm curious, so maybe it's a matter of character as well at the beginning.